Marketing in 2025 is wild. Savvy customers spot fake messaging instantly, privacy changes make ad targeting a nightmare, and everyone needs more content than ever. That's why you have to check out HubSpot's new marketing trends report. It doesn't just show you what's changing, it shows you exactly how to deal with it. Everything's backed by research, but focused on marketing plays you can use tomorrow. You ready to turn marketing hurdles into results? Go to clickhubspot.com/marketing to download it for free. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, March 21st. I'm John Weigell here with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Apple TV Plus lost Apple over $1 billion in 2024. The streaming service that offers shows like Ted Lasso and Severance isn't exactly short on award-winning content, but it is struggling compared to other streaming services, with Paramount Plus even beginning to turn a profit last year. So where is Apple going wrong and where can they pick it up? We'll chat about that in a bit, but first let's give you the news in business and tech. To start off today, buy now, pay later app Klarna comes in again this week with another huge deal. Last week it was Walmart's OnePay, and now this week it's DoorDash. Customers on DoorDash are going to soon be able to pay using Klarna. All I'm seeing is Klarna partnering with this business, Nvidia partnering with that business, but it's going good for Klarna.
It's the big two now.
I know, right?
I mean, obviously, yeah, big news for Klarna. Like you said, they've been all over the news. It's also just a reflection of the state of the economy that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. Consumer spending is staying level, but people are worried it's going to pull back. Consumers don't have as much confidence in the economy or making purchases. So like a buy now, pay later thing, I think sounds better to a lot of people. And I find it to be potentially a bad sign of how expensive things have gotten if buy now, pay later is now a thing for DoorDash.
Yeah.
But I just think that's the state of where we're at.
I know. I guess it really is. I mean, Klarna's been peeking into so many different areas of e-commerce. Millennials and Gen Zs are having debt troubles, as we've noted before on the pod. So can only see that continuing as Klarna continues to gain traction. I mean, I guess good for them, but it really is, to your point, a symbol of our economy right now. And next, over to some tech news. OpenAI launched an even more powerful version of its O1 reasoning AI model, O1 Pro. It's only available right now to select developers, but it's going to be pricey for developers out there, being their most expensive model yet. It costs $150 per million tokens, which translates to about 750,000 words fed into the model, and it costs $600 per million tokens generated by the model. So that's twice the price of GPT 4.5, and their revenue is going to go way up. From there, we go to some food news. Some of our favorite restaurants, Darden Restaurant Group, owner of Longhorn Steakhouse and Olive Garden, has seen its stock rally 6.8% so far over this year. Given kind of a shaky end of 2024 with a Q4 sales increase of just 0.7%, the company is optimistic as it rolls out Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl, one for the books, their buy one, take one promotions, and Uber Direct for deliveries. Mark, what do you think about Darden Group and their optimistic outlook in the years to come?
I love the confidence and the optimism. I mean, it was like last year, so many of its restaurants were doing so poorly, even as like the stock market itself was doing pretty well. Yeah. Now it's like opposite day. The stock market ain't doing so great, but Darden restaurants are back.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot on here about these types of restaurants, the chain, casual sit-down dining. They aren't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why they've withstood the test of time.
Yeah, it seems ones with like a real firm identity, like Olive Garden, which is like obviously Italian, Longhorn Steakhouse. Well, you get the picture there. Considering they have, I feel like their exact niche, their exact theme, I think they're doing okay. We've talked about businesses like TGI Fridays not doing too hot. Applebee's not doing too well, which is a more general approach. And now with these extra deals like Never Ending Pasta, which is one of my favorite Olive Garden situations, it seems like they're doing quite well.
Just niche down. And, it's the same with anything.
Yeah. And in more food news, the Cheesecake Factory is making some edits to its huge menu. The restaurant chain is cutting 13 of its 250 menu items and replacing them with 20 new food and drink options. The chain is doing something right. Its stock was up over 35% in the last year. So, Mark, a similar story here with Cheesecake Factory, even though they're adding more to their exorbitant menu.
Yeah, my only comment here basically is that, of course, the Cheesecake Factory would do a subtraction from its menu by instantly bringing 20 more new items. So it's like, we're going to trim down our menu by like making it larger. That's part of the appeal of the Cheesecake Factory is, you can go in there and read a novel essentially in the menu.
Oh, yeah. And finally here, director Carl Eric Rinch from 47 Ronin is facing charges of federal fraud and money laundering. Netflix gave him $11 million to complete a sci-fi series, and he failed to complete one single episode and instead allegedly spent the money on cars, crypto, and, quote, luxury betting. But obviously this isn't something that we haven't seen before in the Hollywood space, but I guess this might be a first-time director nod in terms of streaming. So that might be the distinction here, Mark.
Well, yeah, and I understand the charges, the fact that, he failed to complete a single episode. But as far as like a bad return on an investment for Netflix, this probably doesn't even rank among the top 10.
I'm sure.
$11 million and they get nothing in return. Let's remember that Netflix spent $120 million on Baz Luhrmann's show, The Get Down. And I got to be honest, I didn't watch it, so I can't speak for its quality. But I think I'm in the vast majority of people who've never watched it. So,
just some information there. Yeah. So, if you're listening to this podcast, you are more than likely thinking about business ideas. Every entrepreneur has a million ideas vying for attention in their brain, and there's probably that one idea you can't stop thinking about. The one that came to you at 2 a.m. that you got up and wrote down somewhere. Well, I'm here to tell you that idea could be worth $5,000 right now. The Hustle and Indie Hackers are teaming up to find the next great founder and get them started with $5,000. All you got to do is record a 60-second video pitch telling us your business idea, how it makes money, and why it's awesome. One winner gets $5,000 cash plus promotion to millions of Hustle readers. Make sure you enter by April 4th at thehustle.co/bigbreak. That's thehustle.co/bigbreak. You can also click the link in the show notes of this episode. The winner will be announced on April 11th right here on the Hustle Daily Show, the Hustle newsletter, and on the Hustle's social accounts. Now get to pitching. And let's talk about Netflix. Let's talk about some streaming services because our main topic today is on Apple TV Plus. And I mentioned up top that they're not doing too great right now. They lost about $1 billion last year for their streaming platform. And while Netflix and other streaming platforms seem to be doing well, Apple TV doesn't seem to be keeping up. So what's going on over there at Apple TV Plus, Mark?
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about how a lot of these streamers were just doomed. Unless they merged, scaled up, outside of Netflix, there was a lot of just, frankly, bearishness about almost every streaming platform. But, we've seen recently Paramount Plus had a couple of profitable quarters last year. And, Netflix, of course, has been profitable. Disney Plus has just had some profitable quarters as well. So things have actually turned around quite well for a lot of them, but Apple, not so much. As you mentioned, they're still losing money and they're not spending nearly as much as some of their competitors. I mean, if you look at some figures from this analyst group called MoffettNathanson, they suspect that Apple's going to spend around $7.5 billion this year. That's compared to around $18 billion for Netflix, Paramount Global, about $15 billion. And obviously that includes their movie studio and other TV stuff. Sure. And Amazon, which is just streaming like Apple's going to spend $9 billion. So, I mean, Apple's, comparatively not spending that much and they're not making that much.
Maybe that's the problem, is that they're not spending so much. I remember the beginning of Apple TV's strategy was at least delineated here, was that they would spend a lot of money out the gate to make stuff really premium and do really well. Like a former Apple TV Plus employee, as noted in this court story, said it projected losses of $15 billion to $20 billion in its first decade alone. And that's seemingly because they wanted to put on some really good content, which I think they have in the past few years. Put out some really good stuff. Maybe not at the volume of a Netflix or an Amazon Prime. And maybe that's the problem, is that they're not spending enough even.
Yeah, I think for better or worse, streaming, along with a lot of other things, is a volume game.
Sure.
I don't think anyone is going to vouch for everything that Netflix produces every year. That's for sure. But Apple, you're right. It's these critically acclaimed series that they really have an appeal to them that I think like old HBO used to have.
Yeah, sure.
HBO was known as sort of like the bespoke luxury content. And I think Apple has kind of taken that role, especially as HBO is now tied up with, Max and Discovery and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there was only HBO that was in that lane, like in the 90s. And the expenses were different. The audiences were different. The distribution was different. And so it just seems like it's a lot harder to have that luxury sort of role that Apple is going for these days.
Yeah, sure. It's a bit tougher with everybody else out there and with a lot of these streaming services like Netflix having that distinction between, they have, sure, their reality television, but they also have some really highly anticipated Stranger Things type stuff going on as well. So it is a volume game. And you could see it in the subscriber numbers too, because Apple has about 45 million subscribers. Netflix has over 300 million. Disney has 126 million. And so it just seems like they're way behind in subscribers as well, because they may offer a few good shows, but the problem with that is, as we talked about on this show previously, people are slashing their subscriptions when they don't have a good season of a show that they want to watch necessarily.
Yeah. And it's so much easier to do that on Apple because it's like, okay, Ted Lasso ended. People who are on Severance, I think the finale was just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so it's like, I'm sure people are going to leave after that.
Right. How much backlog stuff do they have in terms of rewatchability? Like Max at least has all the Discovery platform stuff. You can watch like 80 billion episodes of House Hunters if you wanted to. But you go on Apple TV Plus and you have these new shows and it's only a 5-year span. So there's really not much backlog there.
No, there's not. I think what it's going to come down to for Apple and for how much they want to continue spending on this, it really might just come down to like, how much does Tim Cook think it's cool to have this thing? Because it's not like a loss leader.
Yeah, sure.
A loss leader is when you take a little bit of a loss, for instance, on strawberries, if you're a grocery store, because that'll get people in to buy other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Apple doesn't need a loss leader. Apple has the iPhone.
Yeah.
And it has a whole bunch of other products that make them money. And I don't think that the fact that they have a streaming network draws more customers for them.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. It's just like, how much does a rich company, and Apple is extremely rich, mind losing per year?
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, their overall net income last year was $93.7 billion. So shaving $1 billion off of that to have a streaming content service may not be awful, just comparatively to what they're earning for everything else that they do.
Right. And they won an Oscar, let's remember.
Yeah, they did.
For Coda.
They did.
And Netflix can't say that for Best Picture, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they've won in that regard, even though they're losing money.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe pick it up little wins, but I would love to see how the service evolves over time. And if they can get some rights to some shows that maybe are floating around in the ether, kind of like how Netflix has done with like You and Cobra Kai. And I feel like they could really dip their toe into that area maybe and find something in the vault somewhere.
Yeah, turn out some new hits, even though they're old or whatever.
What is old is new again. Is that the term?
I think that's it.
Okay. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig. Our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got tons more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. Go find it at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We will see you next week. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. You know it. You love it. My First Million, hosted by Sam Parr and Sean Puri, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. My First Million features famous guests like Alex Hormozi, Sophia Amoruso, and Hassan Minaj, sharing their secrets on how they made their first $1 million and how to apply their learnings to capitalize on today's business trends and opportunities. Talk about somebody that's really in the now. They had on Mr. Beast recently, and Mr. Beast talked about his origin story and how he made his first $1 million and how you can make anything go viral if you really try to do it, which is a great listen. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. You can catch all the recent episodes whenever you want, and you can listen to My First Million wherever you get your podcasts.